नमस्कार दोस्तों, मेरा नाम गौरव है। गौravdelhirav मेरा यूट्यूब चैनल है। कृपया सब्सक्राइब करें दोस्तों, ये सब्सक्राइब का बटन दबाएं, साथ में बेल आइकन को क्लिक करना ना भूलें। इसके थ्रू आप लेटेस्ट अपडेट्स और लेटेस्ट वीडियोस अपने इनबॉक्स में पाएंगे। कृपया लाइक करें दोस्तों ये वीडियो। अगर आपको पसंद आते हैं मेरे बनाए हुए वीडियो तो कृपया लाइक और कमेंट जरूर करें। गुड मॉर्निंग। My name is C.S. Gaurav Kumar Sharma, and I am here to tell you about what are the mandatory compliances for running a business in India. And today we are going to discuss the same with the same platform of in the form of a PPT. Here is my picture over here, and my contact detail is as below over here. 9990694230 is my number, and gauravdelhirav@gmail.com is my email ID. If you have any query related to mandatory compliances of running a business in India, you can get in touch with me on the same contact details. Now let's move forward, guys, and see what are the mandatory compliances. Suppose a company is being ran in India. So what are the compliances which we have to do? First is appointment of auditor. Auditor will be appointed for the 5 year term. From Form ADT1 will be filed for 5 years appointment. The first auditor will be appointed within 1 month from the date of incorporation of the company. Statutory audit of accounts. Every company shall prepare its accounts and get the same audited by chartered accountant at the end of financial year compulsorily. The auditor shall provide an audit report and the audited financial statement for the purpose of filing it with the registrar. Filing of annual return Form AGT 7 is going to be filed for the same. Every private limited company is required to file its annual return within 60 days of holding AGM, that is called annual general meeting. Annual return will be for the period of 1st April to 31st March. Filing a financial statement is being done through Form AOC 4. Every private limited company is required to file its balance sheet along with its statement of profit and loss account and director report in this format within 30 days of holding the AGM, annual general meeting. Holding of annual general meeting provision is down over here. If you can read it, you can get it through it. So apart from this, there is a preparation of director report. Director report will be prepared with a mention of all the information required under section 134 of the Companies Act 2013. Basically, it's a very critical thing which every director needs to disclose. Some of the details I'll show you, and I'll formalize the same in the coming slide as well. So now if we move further, statutory audit. The first point, the appointment of statutory auditor of the company is very important part of the business. If you are running a private limited company or a company in India, finalize the annual account with the auditors of the company's main role over here. So this is the main aspect of any business and mandatory compliance as per the Companies Act. Now if we move on to the annual RoC filing, if you are running a private limited company, there are specific set of forms which are need to be required to be filed. What are these and what is going to be? I am going to discuss the same. Private limited companies are required to file its annual accounts and returns disclosing details of its shareholder, director, etc. to the RoC, that is called Register of Companies, and they have to file with the same. Such compliances are required to be made once in a year. As a part of annual filing, the following forms are to be filed with the RoC, Register of Company. Form MGT7, I have discussed it further. This is annual return. Every private limited company is required to file its AGM, its annual return within 60 days of holding its annual general meeting. Annual return will be filed for the first period of 1st April to 31st March. Form AOC4 is needed not to be said like it's only a financial statement. Every private limited company is required to file its balance sheet along with its statement of profit and loss and director report in this format within 30 days of holding the AGM. Now if we move on to further, this is only the compliance which is annual RoC filings. But apart from these, there are other aspects as well, which we are going to discuss today. Annual general meeting. The primary agenda of an AGM includes approval of financial statement, declaration of dividends if any, appointment of reappointment of auditors if any, appointment and remuneration of the director is to be disclosed or must be discussed on a annual general meeting. The annual general meeting shall be held during business hours on a day which is not a public holiday and shall take place at the registered office of the company or at some other place within the city, town or village in which the registered office of the company is situated. So this is the provisions mainly aspect of in annual general meeting which we have discussed over here. Now if we move on to further, then board meetings are the essential part of any business of an Indian company, and mandatory compliances related to the same will be discussed further. So now we move on to first point. The first meeting of the board of directors of a private limited company shall be conducted within 30 days from the date of incorporation of the company. Further, minimum 4 board meetings will be held in a calendar year, that is must. One meeting in every 3 months is a must. So if we move on to further, then you are cleared with the concept which I have asked or which I have discussed over here in the first point. In case of a private limited company which is classified as a small company, at least two board meetings shall be held in a calendar year. So for a small company, two board meetings is must for in a calendar year. Most of the startup fall within the category of small company. Minimum two director or one third of the total number of director, whichever is greater in the same which I have discussed over here, are required to be present in the board meeting. So quorum only be maintained by this provision. One third or minimum two director, whichever is greater, must be followed in the board meeting. Third point which we are going to discuss, the discussion of the meeting need to be drafted and recorded in the form of minutes of the meeting and maintained at the registered office of the company. Director should be intimated about the date and purpose of the meeting by giving a notice at least 7 days in advance from the date of the meeting. So these the three essential points, or you can say the main focal points, are needed to be discussed for board meetings and must be complied with. Minutes of the meeting must be kept along with everything, because these are the main aspect and you cannot ignore the same. There are penal provisions as well if you are not keeping the same. Director report, I have discussed this earlier, that I will explain the same over here. Every director has to disclose about his director in the company. Apart from this, every director has to disclose other thing as well about his directorship in other company in every year. Suppose a person known as Ratan Tata is having a directorship in a Tata Group companies of suppose 13 or 14, then he need to file a director report of the company, and then he have to show in a director report that on whose or on how many companies he's director in every year. You have to disclose what is the directorship in 14 or 13 companies which he is acting as a director. This shall be done by giving a declaration writing to the company every year in a specialized specified directors report format. So now if we move on to further, what are the documents or statutory registers or records to be maintained as per Companies Act, and what are the mandatory compliances related to statutory registers maintenance and records. Now first point which we are going to take forward is that a private limited company has to maintain various statutory registers and record as required by the company law. As such, register of shares, register of members, register of directors, besides incorporation document of company, resolution of the meetings of the board of directors, minutes of the board meetings, annual general meetings minutes also required to be preserved by the company. Such records are to be kept at the registered office of the company, shall be open for inspection of its members during business hours. Also, the books of accounts of every company relating to a period of at least 8 financial years should be required to be preserved and kept in order. Other event based filing which are going to be discussed over here, beside annual filing there are various other compliances which need to be done, and which when any event take place any company, instances of such are here as below. Company in authorized any change in the authorized capital or paid up capital of the company, then you need to require a filing is to be made with the RoC. Allotment of new shares or transfer of shares or transmission of shares, then you need to file certain forms and certain filings are required to be maintained. Giving loans to other companies or giving loan to director are required to be same to be filed with a RoC. Appointment of managing or whole-time director or payment of remuneration to any director required to be mentioned through RoC. Loans to director or any loans from director to director or director to company needs to be specified and need to be reported. Opening or closing of bank accounts or change in signatories of the bank accounts are also required to be mentioned with the RoC. Appointment or change of the statutory auditors of the company, it is also required to be filed. So if you are not doing any compliances or not filing any documents pertaining to Companies Act, then you are making a severe penalty, or you are attracting the severe penal provisions of the Companies Act, which can be harmless, or you can say very harmful for you, or as well as to the every person who is acting in default. So do not do this, and please file your mainly the filings on time and as per the records, as per the Companies Act. A well known or a well knowledgeable or an expertise company secretary can help you in the same, which is so now let's move on to the further. Non-compliance attracts severe penalties, which is embedded in Companies Act 2000 and other respective laws as well, and it's much more severe that it can cause arrest of a person, as well as in few cases we can recommend you focus on compliances as well. For any query, any compliances or any discussion, you can get in touch with me. 9990694230 is my number, and my email ID is gauravdelhirav@gmail.com. the both of the same is being mentioned over here, and you can get in touch with me. This is not an advertisement, you can say, or this is just a knowledgeable lecture which I have given to safeguard you for the mainly the compliance part. Please do make sure your mandatory compliances for running a business in India is intact, and please like the video and share or comment the video if you like the same.